Right then, well, first off, how are you doing?
I got a cold, and we're exhausted from this last week in London. But those are nitpicking because actually I'm very well.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So, you did those 4 shows in London of the 4 last albums.
Yeah.
How was that?
I don't know yet, in all honesty. It was so much preparation for it, and it was so intense at the time. Like, every element of it was intense, like the personal element and the business element and the preparation, all that stuff. And then directly after that, we've been off doing these acoustic shows, so I don't think I've had a chance to really process it yet, which is healthy, I think, because if I stop and think about it too much, it's like
dangerous.
Yeah, it is actually. I agree. I mean, these are the things that are important right now: is making sure these shows are good for the folks that have decided to come to this, and I'm sure I'll think about it soon enough. And I think it was really cool, man. I think it was awesome. In fact, I think it was maybe even more than that. I think it might be one of those defining moments in my own career for myself, right? But then again, it could have been shit, so I'll keep you posted.
Why did you pick London?
Well, the management that we have now is based in the UK, and there's certain places in the world that whatever the hell I do seems to go over okay, but the UK seems to be really good right now, and I mean, for me, as cheesy as it sounds, I mean, it's a real vote of confidence, because I'd say 75 or 80% of the most influential music in my life has come from the UK, right? So the fact that on some level it's kind of accepted here at this point, temporarily, is like really, really awesome, man.
So, you're doing an acoustic show tonight.
Yeah.
Why? Has your band abandoned you or something?
Well, I wouldn't blame them if they did, to be honest. Well, again, it's like I kind of go where I'm told, and the management decided to book these acoustic shows, and I'd like to say I'm not, at the behest of other people, but that's not the truth. I'm just like, what are we doing tomorrow? Oh, we're playing an acoustic show? You got it. But I mean, at first I thought it was going to be a lot more work, but in fact it's been sort of we've only had one, granted, but it's been sort of a nice wind down, right? Because, it's just me, and I like the sound of acoustic guitar with a lot of echo. I like the sound of anything with a lot of echo, to be honest. But so to do these has been, so far, it's been a nice way to do it, because there's not a lot of pressure, right? So, again, I say thus far, right? So there's some of the acoustic shows that are really nice because they're really quiet and everybody's attentive and I get to play and it's nice. And there's other ones where it's like, you get a couple hundred folks that are just loaded, right, and want me to play strapping songs on the acoustic, right, and those are a little more work, but honestly, it's what it is, and I'm having a great time.
What about an acoustic version of All Hail the New Flesh?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's I did an acoustic version of Jill R last night, and I mean, it's fun for the kitsch factor. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I play something that shouldn't be played on acoustic, right? I mean, it goes for a couple bars before it's painfully obvious that it just is a shitty version of the song that they want to hear, right? I mean, what I do, I think, has a fair amount of variety, and when it comes to acoustic music, I think I can do quiet music quite well, right? But then again, if people want to hear loud music on acoustic, I mean, it's funny, I get it, right? So we'll do that too if you want.
Well, I'm pretty lucky to be sitting here with you, really, because in 2007 you said that you were going to stop doing touring, you weren't going to do anything public or anything like that anymore. Yeah. So what changed your mind?
I quit doing drugs and realized that I'm not as terrified of people as I thought I was at one point. I think it's honestly, it's one of the interesting things about, being in music is, and especially for 20 years, right, because it's been 20 years I've been doing this, and that's 20 years of idiocy documented, in interviews and videos and things like this, and you get to, you sleep in your own bed, right? And if 15 years ago you decided that it was a really clever idea to do a bunch of interviews on drugs or drunk, and then everybody thinks you're a nutbag, right? Then later on in life you have to be like, you're right, okay, well, I'm actually not I'm actually an exceedingly normal person that just had, certain moments documented that you're forever going to have to live down. And I mean, of my friends, I think I'm actually one of the most like normal folk in my life, right? And there's some other friends that I remember thinking, man, if what you just said was on camera, you'd never fucking live that down. You know what I mean? So, but I think it's cool, man. I mean, in 2007, I mean, I was like strapping. I needed to reevaluate. I had been so busy with touring that I couldn't see the forest for the trees, and really a lot of that was I was involved in like social activities and like personal habits, drinking and drugs that just weren't good for me, right? So I took a couple years off and made a bunch of shitty furniture and tried to start a production business that didn't work, and like a bunch of things, right? And then I realized through all of it, having a kid and things, in my life changed. People were dying and being born and all this, right? That really I wasn't functioning nearly as well while smoking weed or drinking as I did without. So I stopped, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh boy, maybe that was the problem, more so than the audience or the music or the people or whatever, right? But live and learn, right?
So, are you sick of people asking about strapping and all that?
No, it's all good. I mean, I'm very proud of strapping. I think it was great. I mean, it's like, I've got a lot of patience, and I recognize that the band had a big emotional impact on a lot of people, as it did for me, right? But, like, some girl came to the show last night, and she goes, you got to do strapping again. And I was like, why would you want me to? I mean, I'm not there anymore. You want me to lie to you? Like, if the band was that important to you, do you want me to be a poser for you? Like, I mean, isn't the world full of enough posers that are out there pretending they're angry and hard when they're not? I mean, I think I'm resilient, but I'm not a hardcore dude, man. You know what I mean? It's like it took coming away from that for me to realize it, right? And there's a lot of people that pretend they're tough. They pretend that they can hang out with criminals because it makes them feel less fear of that one thing that they're actually engaging in. And that's not me, man. I think that strapping was awesome because that's where I was at the time, and then when I move away from it, for me to like engage in it again is disrespectful for the people that it's like important to. And there's other people going, well, we just want to see it because we want to party, and I'm like, and so that's my problem? You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing what I do now, and at least if people don't like what I do right now, it's like it's obvious. And at least that way they can say, hey, I don't like what this guy's doing anymore. And that's fair enough. Like, totally, man. Like, I'm not trying to convince people to like where I'm at in life. What I'm trying to do is just be able to say, this is where I'm at. Take it or leave it. And people say, well, I like strapping better than this. Again, fair enough, man. I can totally understand why you'd be that way. A lot of the times the people are saying, we want you to do strapping. I'm like, well, how old are you? And they're like, well, we're 24, 25, 21. I'm like, well, when I wrote strapping, when I did heavy, it's a really heavy thing, I was 23. I totally get it. At that point in my life, that is exactly what resonated with me, right? I'm fucking 40 now. It's like all those things that made strapping so important, I like managed to work through. Hallelujah. Like the thing, I'm so thankful for having strapping in my life because it allowed me to like work through those things again, publicly. So, you're kind of like, you'll be answering questions about it for the rest of your life, right? But, I mean, that's what the job is, right? There's no question.
I mean, I think when you put an end to strapping and all that, you said that you wanted to not feel the pressure to be this metal persona on stage. You wanted to be yourself more than anything.
Yeah, I think in a way. And I think being myself definitely includes some of the metal persona because, there's some people that when they step away from the thing that, one of the things at least that kind of defined them, there's this like profound like revulsion against it. Like, I'm not a metal guy anymore. Of course I'm a metal guy. I've been a metal guy my whole life. I always will be. But as I get older, that attitude just changes. What I want to hear now is different. I mean, I'm just, in my spare time, I either want to hear nothing or I want to hear some soft, nice music, man. And it's like, there'd be some 24-year-olds, 25-year-olds, even some 35-year-olds watching this going, oh, you're getting old. Fucking right, I'm getting old, man. And I think to, like, pretend you're not is really, like, the end of music to a lot of degree, right? So, again, it's like you may not like where I'm headed right now, but it's where I'm headed, so I don't know what to tell you, right?
I'm surprised how popular the whole Ziltoid thing became.
It's awesome. I mean, the record is like a little weird, right? Because it's like, you know, pretty shitty sounding, right? But I mean, you know, it's one thing to, like, you know, a lot of times in order to be a personality in music or in heavy music or anything, acting or whatever, the amount of focus that gets put on you and your idiosyncrasies is enough that, you know, inevitably, if it gets popular enough, people are going to be annoyed by it. You know, like, there's that bald guy in a gray suit. You know what I mean? Like, I annoy myself just by looking at that, you know? There's, like, magazines that come out and I see myself. I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, there's that guy again. Oh, shit, it's me, right? But Ziltoid, it's like, it's wicked. It's a puppet. It's an alien. You know, it can do anything. It can get away with whatever. And it can say shit that, you know, I used to say in strapping without me having to worry about the, you know, going to bed at night saying, oh, people think I'm being an asshole or whatever. Because I did worry about that, you know, sensitive guy, right? But Ziltoid, I don't give a fuck, man. You know what I mean? So Ziltoid is something that I think people can, like, put on a shirt and they're not, you know, it's not in any danger of, like, the fallibility of a human being being something that eventually people are like, oh, he let me down by, you know, not continuing to do the thing that he didn't want to do or whatever, right? Like with Ziltoid, it's like, you know, what are you going to be let down by? You know, it's a puppet. Go for it. Put him on your wall.
Okay, do you have favourite albums or least favourite albums that you've put out in the past?
Of my own stuff?
Yeah.
Well, usually my favourite one's the one that I've just done because it's the one I'm least bored with.
It's the one the label wants you to talk about.
Oh, I give a fuck what the label wants me to talk about, dude. Like, I've never cared what the label or the companies want me to talk about. That's definitely not part of the equation. I mean, for me, the way I write is very much, it's like a reaction to a period of life that I went through, right? And the one that is, the record that's most relevant is the part of my life that's still kind of relevant in a way. And the last record is like, you know, the one that's closest to where I currently am. So Ghost, I currently like, you know, and you know, I like Deconstruction too. I think it's cool, but I don't listen to it. It's fucking gives me a headache, right? But that's what it was supposed to do, right? And then beyond that, I mean, God, I don't listen to any of it. Just because to make it took so much effort to do. Sometimes I'll listen to the Hummer, like rarely, I guess. You know, once in a while I might put on Key. You know, some people in my family like Addicted, but, you know, they like it to the point where I'm just like, oh, God, I don't want to hear that. But, I mean, I think it's healthy to not want to listen to your own music. I think anybody who, like, is obsessed with listening to their own music is, like, it's probably suspect, you know, in the first place. If someone's just like, well, now that we've come off tour, you know, and I'm on my own here, I think I'm going to put on me. You know what I mean? It's like, God, man, when I'm not playing, the last thing I want to look at, listen to, or hear is me, right? So currently I like this record Insides by John Hopkins. I think is like brilliant. I spent a little time with that Alison Krauss, Robert Plant Raising Sand album. I thought that was cool. Sometimes I'll still put on From Sirius to Mars from Gojira. It's like currently the only metal band that interests me. For Lack of a Better Name by Deadmau5 I listened to for a while there. But again, this is like it's like not what I do, right? And that's why I like it. I still like Cowboy Junkies, Trinity Sessions. I like quiet music, right? Other than Gojira, of course, but I can't say I put that on all the time. I bought a Clancy Brothers record the other day because I grew up with that, right? So I like that. And least favorite records of mine? I mean, shit, man. It's like depending on my mood. You know, if I'm in a mellow mood and I hear Alien, I hate it. However, if I'm in a manic sort of frame of mind, I think it's great, right? I wasn't thrilled with how Physicist turned out. However, I do like the songs. I wasn't thrilled with the way SYL turned out, although I do like the songs. I think the production on both of those is my issue, or the mix. But again, man, my music is just like, it's what I do, right? So it's not really a like it or dislike it thing. It's more about a technical, did it get pulled off so it emotionally represents what you want, or did it not, right?
On the Wikipedia page here, I don't know where they got it from, but it says that you created Strapping Young Lad to vent your anger at what you saw in the music industry. So
that's pretty romantic.
What did you see?
Well, gosh, if we're going to go with that as a description of Strapping Young Lad, I mean, I don't think that's entirely accurate, but if we're going to pretend it's accurate, I would say what pissed me off about the music industry is just like, again, my connection to music is always based on, at least in my opinion, a reaction to what's going on in my life, and I've always been emotionally stunted. It's very difficult for me to express emotions in like real life. I have a problem with the vulnerability of it. However, through music, I feel like there's a way for me to express it, and it's a nice release for me because I think I am a sensitive person, as much as my lack of emotional response tends to like demonstrate. So music has always been an emotional, creative, cathartic outlet for me ever since I can remember. I remember writing songs about rainy days when I was like 9 years old because certain series of notes represented that for me. And I guess naively I was under the assumption that all the people that liked the music that I made worked in a similar way, right? And then I moved to LA and just found out it was like full of shit. Not everybody, of course, but I mean a lot of things. Just like it's full of shit. It's like fake abdominal muscles and perfect teeth and people lying to each other so they can make money, right? So when I was 22 or 21, and I came up and joined the Wild Hearts for 6 months or a year or whatever, and and found that there was like another side of things. And I appreciated what they did as well, but it was too much like of an adventure sort of frame of mind, and I thought, well, that's not what I want either, right? So finally I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to make some noise here just to kind of vent, and that's what strapping became. And as these things go, the irony of it is it became popular, right? So me venting became popular, right? And then as I had kind of worked through it, they were like, well, now we want you to continue venting. I'm like, I got nothing more to vent about. So I had to start doing things to myself to kind of like hurt myself in order to like find things to vent about. And then after Alien, I was just like, so let me get this straight. You're working really hard here to be a martyr for people you don't know. Like that's like quasi-religious thinking, right? Anybody who like gets off on being a martyr for somebody else is got a hang up that I just don't think is like worthy of writing about anymore, right? So I quit that too. But I mean, what do I think about the music industry? It's just a bunch of people, but everybody's after money, and that leads people to like do whatever they can in order to get it. So I think that for me, my goals now is to make obscene amounts of money and spend it on the most ludicrous shows ever. What I mean? I think that would be awesome.
Describe a ludicrous show, then.
Oh, God, like it would be in front of like tons of people, and there'd be like exploding blimps and like, 1,000-foot ziltoids that like explode into a thing of canaries, and then we'll drop a great white shark in the middle of the, I don't know, like whatever. Just make, erect a whole fucking castle on stage, and then like have it made out of marshmallows, and then distribute the marshmallows to people, and like who knows, right? But I just as a middle finger to like the whole capitalism behind money, it would be great to make obscene amounts of money and then blow it. I don't know if my wife would appreciate that, but well.
So, how many albums are you going to be working on after this then? Is there a Ghost 2 or a Ziltoid 2?
Yeah, there's Ghost 2, there's Ziltoid 2, there's Epicloud, there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? But I'll do them one at a time now. I think my goals, everything that I work through in terms of like shows or experiences or music or whatever, I think definitely like teaches me something, right? And I think the lesson recently has been, you're going to have to learn to take your time a little more, right? And it's not that I can't work at this pace, but I very much can. But I think that it's important for my state of mind, and it's important for my music for me to slow down a touch, right? Doesn't necessarily mean touring. Touring's a job; it's always going to happen. But it's just in terms of like the way I think, the way I process things. I need to like spend a little more time thinking, right? So
we're looking forward then, 5 or 10 years. Do you have any ambitions outside of music? Where do you see yourself?
I like to wake up slow. I like to eat good food. I like to play bass. I like to play some music. Stuff like that.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Do you have any last words for the people of Metalstone?
Thanks for the support if you do. Thanks for the lack of support if there's none. And, don't shit where you eat. Peace. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man. I'm tired.